gonna load here.
I don't know, man. It's a mystery.
Welcome to the Cat Zombie Grub. All right, now before we talk about this, holy moly, guys! I brought up the issue of voting. I only expected a couple of people to chip in, but we've already got like 200 votes in now. 87% of you still voting for Team Liquid, hoping for that all kill, but a good 13% of you have faith in Hyun. It's kind of hard to call at this point. We'll see how this goes. We have to play this by ear. It's currently 4-0. We're on the last game potentially. And of course, if you're just tuning in, if you've missed the hype so far, Taeja has to all kill if Team Liquid wants to make it to the playoffs. So we'll see if he can get that done. I'm Rifkin. Now joining me is Zombie Grub. And Spawny here in the lower left corner of the map, playing for Team Liquid. He has re-ascertained his color, his team color blue. Give it up for Taeja.
And in the bottom right, as the red Zerg, it's Quantic's Hyun. Now, what map and what happened to the first game they played?
Okay, so if you guys missed it, because Zombie Grub only just tuned in as well, map 1 was Whirlwind. It was the first match of the day, Hyun versus Taeja. Unfortunately, Hyun tried to play a very standard style, and Taeja caught him off guard before Mutalisks were even available. So,
oh, okay.
We'll see if he makes the same mistake here. One thing that's worth noting, though, and I kind of said this in game 1, like Hyun is the last person I would expect this from. But I would love if he played this out kind of like an Acer team member, you know, whether it's Scarlet, Bly, or Nurture. They all play a very aggressive style of Zerg, and Hyun ends up being a guy who goes for the macro game. And as far as tangoing in the macro game versus Taeja, it didn't work in Home Story Cup. It didn't work in game 1 today, and I kind of hope he would recognize that and maybe try and change it up. But at the same time, Zombie Grub, do you risk it all when you're on your last chance? This is his second life and his last chance for Quantic Gaming.
I was just about to bring that up, honestly, because this map, of course, it's not used that often, but when it was being used, Hyun, you know, he was very fond of roaches and banelings. I mean, he's always had that style in his back pocket, right? But especially on this map, he'd do that mid-game all-in, or semi-all-in, I don't know what you want to call it, but it had to do damage, you know? So I guess that might be the definition of an all-in. Anyways, and he did it on this map a lot of the time, so if he really was going to bust it out, this would be the map, and this might be like the correct situation, because you're saying the macro games aren't cutting it from Hyun versus Taeja, and I think Hyun would probably, I mean, Taeja I don't know as the safest guy in the world, but he has been known to, you know, scout very, very well, and not be afraid of getting those tanks out to stop any all-in.
Yeah, and actually going back to, I love, because Hyun was really one of the first people who started using this, at least that I got to see, where you'd see him go for the Roach Banelings and transition into Mutalisk Baneling for the mid game to the late game instead of opening with that right away. And it's those sort of like different styles that are really nice, but unfortunately, because he's so well known for doing that, it's easy for Taeja to predict what could happen. But alright, Reaper gonna get in here. Not a lot of damage gonna get done, but Hyun actually sending 2 links, or tried to send 2 links across to go for that cancel on the command center, but unfortunately, the Reaper is on top of this. Great control.
It's a little unfortunate for Hyun. I mean, making those 6 lings, you really do want to send 2 of them out to stop that command center, and having them, you know, stop dead in their tracks like that. It's I don't know, I'd say it's kind of a waste, but he'll be sure to use that later on for scouting and whatnot when it, you know, when they become useful with that speed around 6 minutes. And Taeja would know that, and he's gonna get that Reaper right out of there at around that time.
Ooh,
but now the
Hyun.
Overlord. He was not expecting the Marines pop out of that reactor.
No, and this will actually kind of not directly supply block him, but force another Overlord out pretty quick, and does get popped off. Actually, it does block him for a second, but as that other Overlord finishes, he can kind of limit on what it can make for the time being. Not a situation he wanted to be caught on this early. Not only were his lings basically denied from going across the map, even scouting no less, but the Overlord picked off too. That's going to hurt him here in the early game. Third command center, though, coming out of Taeja. He's not... I love this. Taeja's like... I don't know. I don't want to call him a robot, but nothing phases him, right? Like,
yeah. I mean, this guy just knows what he does, you know? He knows himself and he knows how good he is, so he's able to do stuff like this. But I was wondering how he got those 2 Marines out and he cut the second Reaper. And that is so smart. I don't know how many times I can tell you that as a Terran, I hate when the Overlord just stays over the top of your Hellions and you're like, God, I wish I had a Marine. Because you usually don't get them. So I really love seeing that from Taeja, and it definitely paid off with that Overlord kill. But now the Hellions are out. We'll go up to 6. It's been coming up lately that Terrans are only making 4 Hellions, and they just run them right past to go for the drones instead of making that 6 and taking the control. I do believe he's making 6 though, so he's looking for that map control.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you there, but I was going to mention too, in Game 1, he did go for the Hellion Banshee opening, but due to that third command center, obviously can't afford to make that starport, so getting the stim pack out really quick, not even going to try for it, and as you said, going to have a lot of map control with these Hellions, but unfortunately, Hyun also doesn't play that really queen-heavy style, so we only have this one queen out here instead of, say, 3, and it's actually going to get picked off if he doesn't pull it back. Hyun, you're going to lose your queen, man! Is it worth it?
Because the Lings were in the natural of Taeja.
Oh.
They were trying to do a little bit of damage, but they did nothing. So unfortunately, the micro on that side really did not pay off for the lack of micro on the other side. Luckily, he has more queens, and he's going to be building more, realizing that he really wants to have that creep spread. It's pretty darn useful. Interesting to note, Hyun is not taking this little pocket expansion. He's taking the one above him. Like I said, this map's not used that often anymore, but it was more commonplace to see the pocket one taken.
Well, it's kind of, I think versus Protoss that would often be the case, but Terran, of course, you get that advantage of just dropping inside the third behind the mineral line, then lifting up on top of that ramp.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not fun to deal with as a Zerg place. It's what I like to call the Star Station problem, because that's where you see it happen more than anywhere else.
Yeah. I mean, of course, the problem with this third that Hyun takes is, it's farther away. So that also, I mean, both really have their problems, right? And Taeja, if he went for those faster medevacs, he could have definitely done what you're talking about, lift up, go into the main, go back to the third, be really, really obnoxious. He's not, though. He's not going for the fastest medevacs possible. He's just now getting a starport, and it's going to be, regular time, just about when mutas pop out, if Hyun is going to go for those.
I love, by the way, Hyun's kept his queens incredibly exposed, almost as if bait, saying, oh, I've probably got a hole on my wall, you should absolutely try and run by, but he's left his Lings here in case that happens. And Lings typically versus Hellions are not that great outright, but if you catch them and get a surround on a ramp, ooh, nice pick off that Hellion too, but if you catch them and surround them on a ramp, I mean, usually a ramp is not where you want to fight because it's narrow and it chokes it off, but this is a very wide ramp towards the natural, and it wouldn't have been a problem for him to engage the Hellions here. One thing worth noting here for Hyun, despite the fact that Taeja did go for Hellions to get that map control we were talking about earlier, look at his vision. He's got some pretty good Overlord placement. No medevacs are going to come out and catch him off guard. He's still got 2 Lings positioned northwards of Taeja's base.
Kind of surprising that Taeja even tried to take that fight against the Queens, by the way, because they did have chance fuse energy, but maybe forcing the chance fuse is better because they can't spread the creep as much. I don't know, or he's just looking away. Hard to tell, but one thing I am looking at is Hyun does not have his +1 carapace along with his +1 melee, and I think that's a really big mistake. He probably thinks it's going, it just hasn't gone back to check, even as he does
no, he actually queued it up.
Speed.
He queued it up behind the melee upgrade, so it looks like he probably hit it, but that's not the case, and this isn't going to be devastating yet, but if he takes an engagement 1-0 versus 1-1 Marines, Zerglings aren't going to fare that well. The Banelings will still be pretty good because of their early upgrades, but there's no Banelings available just yet.
That's really going to hurt.
It is. In game number 5, man, too, no less. You can't afford even little mistakes.
Yeah, so Hyun already maybe feeling the pressure a little bit. Of course, that's a very quick mistake to make, like literally half a second between pressing the other Evo chamber and stuff. So I don't know if it's nerves, just a very unfortunate circumstance for Hyun to be in, and he does not start +2 immediately. He has to deal with the attack that is coming. It's going to clear up the creep, and it's going to have time additionally to pack up and go into medevacs if, worst comes to worst, because the Mutas are not going to be out for another 40 seconds at least.
This is the problem with those really delayed Mutalisks, too. I mean, you can't deal with the medevacs drops. These Marines, they might be in danger. Oh, wait, just kidding. I can pick up with the medevacs. And yep, that's exactly what Taeja does. Loses a small amount of units for actually taking out quite a few Banelings on the way out.
That was pretty nice. Of course, he used the Hellions to soak up a lot of the damage, too, because at this point, the Hellions aren't that useful. Mutas are going to be on their way out. +2 has been started. I think he's by now noticed, crap, I don't have +2/+2. I'm going to be behind the Terran even more so than maybe usual, like really behind. He's going to have to make up without, some serious, I don't know, muta damage or something, because, right now it could be just a case of him trying to hold on desperately without those upgrades that are pretty key in these engagements.
Oh, pretty nice surround with these Lings, but the Banelings don't get much done due to that pickup once again from Taeja. This was a problem we saw in Game 1 versus Hyun. This was a problem we saw in Game 2 versus Gamja, but now we actually have Mutalisks available. However, all the ground forces have been eradicated. There's no Baneling support, there's no Zergling support. He cannot engage with these Mutalisks.
Well, this is looking pretty bad. The 4th is probably going to go down. Yes, it will go down. Maybe chance fuses are going to go down too, but that still won't be enough. Mutalisks getting picked off. Oh, he really wants to have a big number for later on. Finally, a huge 12 Lings pop out with 40 more on the way, but yeah, there's no Banelings, and he doesn't have time to more Banelings either.
This doesn't feel like the Hyun we've come to know and love. The guy who typically has those 60 Banelings ready for an assault, but Looks like the fourth does fall down. Drones are going to be evacuated. Banelings are morphing in, but the Mutalisks have been cleaned up entirely. So even if he cleans up these ground forces, which I don't think he will, he's got no answer for those medevacs.
Yeah, in fact, Taeja can now just pick up. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Leaves the Marauder to soak up a good number of Banelings.
I love that he's doing that.
So sick.
He keeps doing that on purpose too, which is just so awesome. Because of course the Banelings are kind of just moved in. They're trying to kill as many Marines as possible, but Hyun is in some dire straits. Resources lost, not looking too crazy bad, but not looking good for Hyun either. And of course, a big part of this is that lack of armor upgrades taking so long to get out. Okay, Baneling's gonna try. Nope, the pickup from Taeja is good! He continues to assault this, and Hyun with 3 queens without a lot of transfuse energy can't really even engage into the medevacs. Half of these guys are out of energy, but that doesn't matter because there's nothing to threaten the Marines on the ground. 3 queens doing what they can, but Zombie Grub, this looks like it might be it for Quantic Gaming.
I think it is. Taeja just steamrolls over Hyun, to be honest. I don't know, but Taeja seems to have his number. The Queen, the second, will definitely go down. He has more Lings popping out as well as a bunch of Mutalisks, but that's not going to help against that many Marines.
This is really unfortunate too, because if they 5-0 here, good game is called! But not only does Quantic Gaming get shut down, Team Liquid knocks Mouse Sports out of 4th place in the Acer Team Story Cup standings, securing their spot in the playoffs. Oh man, well I should say for now. I actually don't know if they could be knocked out by another team still. But for now and for today, Taeja with the all-kill takes it over Quantic Gaming. Ladies and gentlemen, 5-0 as the final score. Even though chat is delayed, I see everyone just like, do it! Yes! Go, go, go! But man, this is normally where we would end the broadcast, but guys, we actually have more StarCraft 2 ready for you. I gotta go talk to the admins and figure out what is going on, but we've got the Kaspersky Arena coming up next. Now, Daishi is playing against Monty currently, and the winner of that, sorry, Zombie Grub's camera